Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about child development between the ages of 1 to 5 years. I hope you have listened to the one about when the child is born, what you have to look out for, what you have to be concerned about, and what you don't have to be concerned about because those ones are normal. And as the child grows from 0 to 6 months and then 6 months to 1 year. We are going to continue from 1 year to 5 years. And this is a very important time in the life of every child. My name is Dr. Linda Vanutu. Welcome to the Online Pregnancy School. If you are joining us for the first time, the Pregnancy School is where we talk about reproductive health, pregnancy, childcare, and the whole family. Our goal is that people should live healthy and fulfilled lives. And we can only do that if we know what is normal and what is abnormal. And then also what to do when we find that something is not going well. So if you haven't done that, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Remember to turn on the notification bell because you'll be informed whenever we are bringing a new video. And if you're following us on Facebook, thank you so much. Go ahead, like our page and share with friends and family. There are people who have sent us many questions. Some of them we have already treated in previous sessions. So we refer them to those videos, and after watching, they are always grateful. So I want you to do that. Please copy that link and share with someone. If you know somebody who is pregnant or planning on becoming pregnant, please share this link with the person and let the person go back to the earlier videos where we started talking about menstruation, fertility, all that. If you also have a challenge and you want us to help you address that particular challenge, you can send us messages on Facebook or YouTube or even WhatsApp with the number that you see on the screen. So let's zoom into today's session. Between the ages of 1 to 5 years are very important for the mother and the father and the child, because this is a time when you are planning on sending this child out either to the creche or to the day nursery, or maybe you leave the child with somebody and you go to do whatever you have to do before you come back. So it is very important that we appreciate what the child has to do at this time and pick out those that are not obvious so that we can send the child to the hospital for proper assessment and treatment. So at this time, what should we be looking out for? It is an important time because you are preparing this child for school. This child will be meeting other children, and so would need to know how to interact with those people and also how to relate to the teacher and other people around him or her. So it is very important. Now, you don't want your child to go to school and every time you hear a report that you will not be happy about. So it is important to do this. Now, at this stage, between 1 to 5 years, the child will be saying more words. The child is not just saying mama or dada, but will say some more words. Go, come, eat, sleep. So the child would have picked up some words. So if you have a child who is 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and is not saying anything, please note that you need to send this child for assessment, because it could be that there's a problem with the ear, therefore the child cannot hear, or it could be something else. So please don't just say that, well, my child is a late developer and I'm keeping the child at home. I would wait till the child is 6 years before I take the child to the hospital. No. A lot of children walk by the age of 1 year. So if your child is 3 years and is not walking, that should not be taken as normal. most children by the age of 2 years would have been walking. Some people walk early by 11 months, others by 12 months, others 13, 14, 15, 16, but up to 2 years, you have a lot of them walking. So if after that age, 3 years, 4 years, your child is still not walking, please, it is not something that you should just take lightly, that my child may walk at 5. No, take that child for proper assessment. Now, at this time, the child is also able to take things from one container and put into another container. Remember, in the previous session, we spoke about the gross motor, we spoke about the fine motor skills, and then we spoke about the language and interactions. So if at this stage, your child is 4 years and the child cannot pick things from one bucket and put in the other, there are these buckets of toys that children play with, or you can improvise at home. You put something in a small box, you put another box which is empty, and you ask the child to pick from one box into the other. You do it with the child. So you do it first and you let the child do it. If this child is able to do that, then that is fine. For that age, the child should be able to do that. If your child is not able to do anything of the sort, then there's a need to not just look at this one, but also add it to other things that children of that age should be able to do, and see whether that child is able to do that or not. If not, then there's the need for proper assessment. Now, the child should also be able to eat by himself or herself. At the age of 5 years, even some of them 3 years, you find that they'll be eating by themselves. Although they will spill a lot of the food, but at least they are able to coordinate the movement of taking food from a plate or a bowl and going into their mouth. So that is something that they learn to do. By 5 years, a lot of children will be able to do that. They can eat with either a spoon or a fork. The plastic ones, of course, we don't want to hurt the children. So try letting this child feed all by himself or herself so that they learn how to do that. And interestingly, at this stage, they like to say no. If you say sit here, they will say no. If you say do this, they will say no. So that is something that they do at this stage. So if you have a child who is at between 1 to 5 years and is always saying no, remember that a lot of children do that. But you as a caregiver have to train this child. Whatever has to be yes, let the child know that this one, you say yes, because they are used to saying their no. And they also turn pages in books. So you find that we have children's books where they have items drawn and the names are at the bottom or on top. Some of them are colored, others the child has to color. If you want this child to be engaged, then you can get the one that is not colored, and you buy crayons for the child as well, so that this child can color that, and you teach the child this is called pawpaw, so that the child knows that this is called pawpaw, papaya, whatever name you call that one, or apple or mango or pineapple, anything, and you teach the child and say the child should color. Once the child has done something, you praise that child. It will not be perfect, but at least the child has shown that he or she can use the hand and can coordinate and can understand that I need to color this and has colored it. And you mention the name of that particular item. So you teach that child to mention that name. And because they can turn pages, sometimes they can turn books. So if you are giving this child a book to play with, or if you have your books around with, then please keep them well. The ones that you don't want them to touch, please keep them well, so that you don't come back and find that the child has drawn in your book or torn pages and you'll be unhappy with that child. And also between the 1 to 5 years, they show a lot of frustration or anger when things don't go well, especially if there's something that they are trying to do and they are not able to do by themselves, they can show frustration. because we are teaching them to go out and mingle with other people. This is the time that you teach this child that when you are not able to do something, you try again. This is how you do it. Just talk to the child in a way that the child will know that we don't just show anger or frustration when things are not working, but we try again. The child is young, so we'll be looking up to you to direct and guide. And this is the time that you, as the parent, you need to show this child what to do if the child cannot do something. Yes. So what are some of the other things that children between this age can do? Now, a lot of them can say sentences by the age of 2 years. Remember, we are talking about between 1 to 5 years. A lot of them can say sentences by 2 years. If your child is not saying anything, mama, dada, by 2 years, please get that child examined. It will help. And sometimes they say that when the child is a firstborn, because there are no children at home, they delay in speaking. But you, as the caregiver, must be talking to this child. Remember that even inside the mother's womb, the children could hear. So it is important that once they are out of the womb, you continue talking to the child. Teach the child, name items, the head, eyes, nose, point and mention the names. This means that we have to have time for them. And please, this is not just the work of the mother. It is for the father as well. Or if there's a bigger person, an adult, or big brother, big sister at home, they can all support to teach this child. Also, at this time, some of them can take off their clothes. By 2 years, some of them, you put the shirt and they take the shirt off, or you put something on, they take it off. So at that stage, they are learning, and you have to be watching out for these things. Of course, when you take the child out to church or somewhere else, you don't want the child to be taking off the clothes. So you teach them when to take off the clothes. When you are going to have a bath, you take off your clothes and things like that, so that they know when it is appropriate to take off the clothes and they don't continue to take the clothes off all the time. I'm sure you have seen some of the children like that, right? They just walk about without anything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the online pregnancy school, and today we are talking about child development from 1 to 5 years. Some of the things that these children can do by these ages. And it's important that as a mother, as a father, you look out for what your child can do by this age. Because if you find any delay, you don't have to waste time. You have to take the child quickly to the hospital for assessment to be done. Also, at this age, they like climbing things. And this is where we have to be very careful. If there's a short table, they would want to climb that. If you have a flight of stairs, they would want to climb the stairs. It is very important that we pay a lot of attention to them at this time, because if they fall from the chair or from the table or from the stairs and they hit their heads and have a head injury, that will be a disaster. So please be guided that wherever they are, there is somebody with them taking care of them. Otherwise, as much as possible, let them play in areas that are safe, where the chances of falling from a height are 0. Please take care of them for that matter. I have seen a child, a very handsome little boy, who fell off a table, and that was a big problem. This child now started convulsing, and almost every week the child would be brought to the hospital. The child had a very bad head injury. Please, and you don't want to see that. So let's try and avoid those things. And by age 5, children can speak clearly. They are able to put sentences together and you understand them. Because some of them are actually in school and they can communicate with their friends, they can communicate with their teachers. So if by age 5, your child is not able to say a sentence or cannot pronounce certain words that are commonly used in the home, then that should tell you that there might be something wrong with that particular child. It could be with the hearing, it could be with the speech. So please, because some of the things cannot be assessed at home, you will need to take this child to the hospital for the proper assessment to be done. And then they can also engage in conversation. I wonder how many of you have had a discussion with a child. It's very interesting because they can be telling you stories. Maybe they went out, they saw something. When they come back, they start telling you the story, or they watch something on TV and they start telling you about that particular story. So they can engage in conversation. That means that we should also have time for them and engage them in the conversation. All these are very important because they help to build the child up. By age 1, like we learned, some of them are walking, but others may be holding on to things. But between 1 to 5 years, the child should be able to stand unsupported. Even if they haven't walked by 18 months, they should be able to stand unsupported. Some of them will try taking a few baby steps, but if by 3 years your child is still not able to walk or stand unsupported, you have to be concerned. If the head is not stable on the neck, you have to be concerned. If this child is not able to say anything, you have to be concerned. And if your child is not able to pick things from one place and put in another place, you should be thinking about checking other things to see whether everything is normal. And if by age 5, the child is not able to put the food in the mouth, that is also something that you have to be concerned about, because some of them, even by 2 years, some people by 3 years, they're already eating by themselves, although they can make a mess around them, but at least they are able to put the food in their mouths using a spoon. Please use a plastic spoon so that the child will not have the spoon is even not so bad, but the fork. And we have children's size forks and spoons. So please use them so that they don't push anything into their mouths that will hurt them. So if your child by 5 years is not able to do any of these things, walking, eating, saying sentences that are clear, or responding to you, then you know that there might be something wrong. So as parents, what should we be doing? Please, between age 1 to 5, there are things that are done for children, normal children, every child. And these are done when the children are taken to the child welfare clinic. Don't say that my child is 1 year and I've stopped going for the child welfare clinic. Please, there are some vaccinations that are given after 1 year. Some of them are continuation of ones that they have received earlier. So it's important to continue with the child welfare clinic. Then you can receive everything that the child has to receive. And then they also check the weighing card, because as you look at this child, the child should be feeding well as well. So if you go and they check the weighing card or the child welfare card and they see that the child's weight is not going up, they can talk to you about it and see what can be done to help. And if you see anything that is not normal to you, please document it. You can put it down or you keep it. So when you go to the hospital, you say that I've observed that when I call my child, the child doesn't turn the head to look at me. At the age of 2 years, 3 years, I continue mentioning his name or her name, but I don't see that the child is responding. That is something that is a very good observation you have made. So when you go to the hospital, you tell them, or my child is 2.5 years, but the child cannot stand by all alone by himself or herself. That is a very good observation. So you observe these things and you document them so that when you go to the hospital, you are specific in what you are going to tell the healthcare provider. Now remember that children also need emotional support. They need somebody to affirm them. They need somebody to let them know that they are doing well. So if the child is able to shade, draw something or draw a line or anything, but don't let them draw it on the walls. So find paper or something for them to draw on, give them crayon or pencils or whatever, so that they can practice their skills. And when they do that, don't say that this is not beautiful. Say that this is very beautiful, because that is what the child can do, right? So appreciate them for what they are doing. And then when look at your child, maybe sometimes you find that the child is sitting all by himself or herself and is not doing, just go call the child. Oh, come, what is wrong? Come. Then the child knows that there is somebody there who cares for that particular child. So please provide them with that emotional support. And because sometimes it can be very challenging taking care of children, the parents can also be tired, and it's understandable. So when you go to the hospital, as you talk about your child, also talk about yourself. You are going to see a doctor. The doctor may be a pediatrician or maybe a general practitioner. So once you are there and you are talking about what you have observed in the child, just talk about yourself. Doctor, it's really challenging. My child is 3 years and is not said any word. Or my child is 2.5 years and has never been able to stand by himself or herself. You know, all these things are things that can drain you. So don't hesitate when you get to the hospital. Talk to the doctor about how you are also feeling, so that they can help you as best as possible. Now, to be able to get the best care for your child, if you have identified any delay in this child, what should you be doing? As a parent, you should seek early treatment. That is why you have to know what children of a certain age do that your child is not doing. Then you can report early. So seek early treatment. And when you go, be specific as to what is happening to the child or what you have observed. Don't just go and say that, I think my child is delayed. In what? Be specific. And then also seek care from a professional. Sometimes people delay. For example, we have seen people whose children have weak support. The head is not stable. And they have put some cloth, either cloth or thread around the child's neck, saying that that will help the neck to be strong to support the head, or the head to be stable on the neck. For whatever reason that is done, it's also good to seek professional help. Then they will know whether there's something that can be done for you or not. That one, it will be good to know, so you can continue with that. If you want to tie the thread or cloth around the neck, then you do that. But please seek professional care. The other thing that you need to do is to provide good food, nutritious food. And nutritious food doesn't necessarily mean expensive food. No. The food that we eat, what we have available, the greens, the small fish that we have, you can grind that fish powder and add to the child's food. Or we have beans. So there are things that are around us which we eat, and we can continue to feed our children with that. Now, when you have taken the child to the hospital, if you find that there's something wrong, they will do an assessment of this child from head to toe to find out what happened. They would even go back to the child's history. When you were pregnant, what happened? When you delivered, did the child cry at birth? What happened? Did they have to when I say beat, resuscitate the child to cry, or the child cried by himself or herself? And when the child was growing up, did the child fall sick? Was there anything that happened? So they will go back into the history. And please, if there's anything that happened in the past, please share that with the doctor. And I've spoken about making sure that the child does not fall. If your child has fallen somewhere along the line, also share that with the doctor. That will help to make a very clear diagnosis. They would also check the child's ear to make sure the child can hear, and put everything together and make a diagnosis. Then they will put a plan together for you. If it is found that there's a delay anywhere, you might be asked to go to the laboratory to do lab tests to find out if there's anything internally that needs to be corrected, that will be done. Or if there's any infection, it will be treated. So please be part of the plan, be part of the treatment. And when you are asked to come back, please go back. When you are asked to do anything, please do it. It can be very, very challenging, but please, for the sake of that child and for your own sake, and here we want to call on parents, both of them, to work together. If your child is found with any delay and a treatment plan is put together, it is not just the mother who has to do it or the father who has to do it. Both of you have to do that. So please put your efforts together and help this child to go through. Ladies and gentlemen, today I spoke about child development, 1 to 5 years, what happens and what are some of the things that can happen that we need to be aware of. So please take note at age 5, this child should be speaking, walking, eating by himself or herself, drawing things, and also engaging in conversations. If you find that your child cannot do some of these things, call your child, the child doesn't respond. The child wants something, the child is not able to say it, can point, but cannot say it. Please, this is the time for you to take this child to the hospital as quickly as you can. And when an assessment is done and a treatment plan is put together, please be part of the execution so that the child will get the best quality of life. And you would also be happy because this child will be independent and then you can have time to do other things. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. Please remember to share. And also, if you haven't done that, subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell. And for those who follow us on Facebook, thank you so much. Please continue and share with friends and family. So we see you again in another video. Thank you for being with us. Once again, my name is Dr. Linda Vadutu, and it is always a pleasure coming your way. Bye for now.